Good evening, I'm back. I'm your host, Jack Remington of the Jack Remington NFL channel. Today we're going to discuss the AFC and NFC title games. This is for the chance to get to the Super Bowl. I'm sure it's going to be great. I do want to throw a caveat to all the handicappers out there who watch this video that usually, we've had just 2 weeks of great games. I mean, last week the divisional round was just incredible. Some of the games were decided by a field goal, and the last game was decided by a touchdown in overtime, the Buffalo Bill-Kansas City game. Wow. We've had 10 great games so far in the playoffs. There hasn't been a real bad blowout. I got to throw this caveat here. In years past, there's always been at least one blowout somewhere along the line. It could come tomorrow or Sunday. It could be the Super Bowl. I'm looking for one team to blow another one out. And we'll get to that when I give you my predictions. First game, Cincinnati Bengals and Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs, home team. Cincinnati has some problems with their offensive line. I personally think that Cincinnati is the Cinderella team that you could arguably say they really shouldn't be here. I think Cincinnati, they couldn't protect Joe Burrow against that Tennessee front four. He was sacked 9 times. I don't know how many times he got batted the balls and pressured. But they still won the game. Give them credit. I'm not knocking the Bengals. I had Tennessee. I got the game wrong. Okay, I had the game wrong. But if you watch my video, you can see the hesitancy in my voice. I was a little worried about Tennessee because everybody kept saying how great their defense was, and I kept saying their defense is not that great. And Joe Burrow burned them. They got these wide receivers who are playing like veterans. One of them was probably a rookie. He's a veteran. He's playing like a Jerry Rice. So Cincinnati's got to be able to protect Joe Burrow from to have a chance. Now, you know the Kansas City defensive coordinator expects, he's going to send a safety blitz. He's going to send a weak side linebacker, middle linebacker blitz on him. And I'm telling you, they're going to sack him. And they're not going to let what happened in the regular season game happen to them. Cincinnati was lucky to get her with a win. I mean, Kansas City started moving the ball. They started scoring. They found the range. They sacked Burrow a few times. So Kansas City knows that this team is for real. And the remaining 4 teams, Cincinnati, Kansas City, San Francisco, and the Rams, you can arguably say that this team, the Cincinnati Bengals, is the fake, the false positive Cinderella team that the slipper's not going to fit. They really shouldn't have got past the Tennessee Titans, but they did. The best team always wins. That's my motto. So, without belaboring that game too much, I'm here to say that they do have a chance because Cincinnati may actually have the better defense. But I think Kansas City's offense is just too potent right now. They got it clicking. They got a Tyreek Hill. I think he's the second fastest man in football. The first fastest is Deebo Samuel. We'll talk about him in the next segment. Tyreek Hill, he does what he did a couple years ago. He chucks the ball in the air and he catches it. They can't catch him. I mean, if he gets wide open space, he's got a 10-yard radius around wherever the hell he's catching that ball, and he's got room to run. They just can't catch this guy. I mean, what else can I say? I mean, Kansas City's got the player. They got the horses. They're probably going to. I think Kansas City's going to win this game, but by how much is the question. And as I hit the video, the record here, the line just moved from Kansas City -7 to Kansas City -7.5. So I'll put the graphic up here. I'll show you what we had done before days ago before this video came out. I want to point out something before I give you my selection. They keep saying strength of schedule, SOS, the Jeff Sagan rankings. And I looked at them too, and they say the favorites of Cincinnati Bengals were any other team in the playoffs, but they barely got past the Raiders. Raiders were making a good comeback on them. I think the strength of schedule is not that important. I'm going to tell you why. When you look at the eyeball test, don't necessarily all their records, okay? The eyeball test, my eyeball test, okay, I want you to think of who Cincinnati plays 6 games. They have 3 division opponents. They play them 3 times a year, and each division has 4 teams. So you got 3 opponents, you play them twice a year. And 6 games that you really got to try to win in your division. Who does Cincinnati play? They play the Baltimore Ravens, or a shell of what they once were, and they whooped them up twice. And that was their big game, if you remember right, with the momentum in the season was Cincinnati was getting some steam. Now, I personally picked Cincinnati to finish last in that division. I may have said it. I hope I said it in my other videos, but if I didn't, I'll say it now. I was wrong on Cincinnati Bengals. I picked them to come in last. I picked Cleveland Browns to win that division because on paper, they should beat the unbeaten Tom Brady Patriots of 2008. They should beat the unbeaten Miami Dolphins in 1973. And while I'm filming this video, Tom Brady retired earlier today, so I'm out of sort. And there was a 7-hour delay because the guy helped me with my lights. He was so glued to the TV and YouTube about Tom Brady. He has some story, and we'll just let it go at that. I said, just come over when you're ready. Now it's all it's 6 o'clock or 5:30 Saturday when I need to have this video by noon, but that's okay. That's okay. The games are tomorrow. I'll do a separate video about Tom Brady. and how great he was. I digress, and I apologize, but okay, think of who Cincinnati plays 6 times a year. Who do they play? Let's go over it in our heads. I don't need any notes. Okay, Baltimore, that was their big game, and they whooped them twice. Having said that, when Cincinnati beat Baltimore the first time, they slayed the Dragon, right? The team that was favored by the NFL and everybody else to win that division was the Ravens, and they went to the New York Jets and they lost, and they knocked me out of my survivor pool. But who else does Cincinnati play? They play the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're sure of what they were, and they played Cleveland. They were swept by Cleveland. They finished last, so that's a little concerning. And they lost to the Jets. I mean, they've had some weaknesses. They've had moments of weakness, like all the NFL teams. You name a team, they've had their low moments, or they had their down moments, or they were exhausted, or they were tired, or not focused. Okay, and Buffalo got beat by Jacksonville 9-6, a field goal game. They were 14.5-point chalk, and I mentioned that in the other video. I picked Buffalo, but I kept telling people, you know what? This team is not quite right. And guess what? Kansas City won. The better team won. So when you have a team that takes a loss like the Buffalo Bills did, with their momentum and what they were favored to do and the talent that they have, there's a problem on that team. Now, the strength of schedule, who does the Kansas City Chiefs play in their 6 division games? They played the Chargers twice. 2 hard-fought, coin flip games. I mean, if the Chargers had a coach, if the Chargers had a head coach that didn't have that wasn't practicing rectal inversion, the Chargers win that game. Okay, that one loss, I want that Staley guy to think about that. He looks like our paper boy, but I shouldn't mock the guy. He's making a lot more money than I am, and I wish him well. I am a fan of the NFL. I like all the teams, I like all the players. But who else does the Kansas City play twice a year? The Raiders. I know they stomped the Raiders twice. The Raiders had that horrible. I mean, they had to fire the coach. They had the guy got the gun on the video on YouTube or whatever, and had to get rid of him. And Diggs hit the wife and the lady and her dog, and they had another second DUI like a month later. They've had problem after problem after problem. They made the playoffs though. They sucked it up the last 3 games and they made a push for it. But that same Raiders team, they whooped Kansas City's ass and had the first loss on them. Kansas City was 8 or 9-0, and they were at home. They were 15.5-point chalk. I took the Raiders. I thought it was too many points, and they won the game outright and beat them good. So, and then they got to play the Broncos. Broncos can't score, but they got a good defense. And the Broncos arguably got robbed in the last game that they played. Kelsey had that fumble, the quick fumble, and they reversed it. I mean, one of the most bizarre calls I've seen in my life. I've been doing this since I was 9 years old. I've been doing this for 50-some years. I never saw a call where the guy took the 2 steps, made the football move, and Denver guy punched the ball out, and they said, well, it happened too quick and he didn't have the ball long enough. I never heard that excuse. I think Kansas City B-slapped Cincinnati as far as competition. It's just my opinion. I want to touch that regular season game briefly between Cincinnati and Kansas City. There was no turnovers. Both teams played great. And when I say they played great, no turnovers, no fumbles, no interceptions. Tennessee gave them the blueprint of slowing down Joe Burrow. That's all Kansas City needs is to slow Burrow down, and they'll get a shootout, and they should win the game. But I look for a backdoor cover. I'm looking for Kansas City to get a big lead in the 3rd and 4th quarter, and then Kansas City doesn't cover very. They rarely cover their games. They do enough to win. Then I don't know if they put in their second string. I don't know if they just relax. They let up off the gas. I don't know what the problem is, but Cincinnati's got the weapons to come back. They'll be desperate. Kansas City, not so much. Instead of going 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 on each down for their linemen, they'll go 7 out of 10. They'll just not mail it in per se, but okay, let the next guy make the play. I've done enough. That sets in. Okay, don't tell me it doesn't happen. I played football. I didn't play pro. Couldn't make the high school team, but I got to play scrimmages. I played ball. I heard the kids, and I thought he was going to make the play. You hear that when you play ball, but I think Cincinnati's going to have a cover. I think 7.5. I have to go back. I'll make it on tomorrow. I'll have a second Cincinnati game for the plus 7.5. So right now I can only show you the one where I made it a few days ago, where it's the pregame.com pick screen will show the Cincinnati plus 7, Kansas City money line, and it'll show my other pick. So, but when you see it tomorrow, it's going to be different. It's going to have at least 2 Cincinnati picks on there. If it goes up to 8, I'll hit another one. It's not $100 imaginary money. It's just play money. It's just bragging rights. Now this open, I want to talk about the open really quick. This game opened, like I said, Kansas City -7. The over was 51.5. Well, it's now 55. When I made my notes, and I used the online screen, and if I can get up there in time, I'll put it up there. But the Vegas Insider and Point Bet, they have the over-under is 55. I think it's going to go higher, and now I'm seeing the 7.5 is probably going to get pushed up. You may even see 57 tomorrow morning for the kickoff time. Everybody watches what the majority of bettors they only remember what they see last couple times. Usually last time. They saw Joe Burrow throwing that ball, and they thought the guy was catching it, and he kept getting up off the mat and getting sacked 9 times. He still burned them. He still burned the Tennessee Titan defense, which I keep saying is not that good. And Kansas City, what did you see when you saw last Kansas City? Zing, zing. I mean, they scored a field goal with 13 seconds left. I guess McDermott never heard of a squib kick. That's okay. They lost. My team lost. I had Buffalo +2. They lost. Oh, and the online site, Bovada has the over-under 55 as well. But if you like this game to be a slower defensive slugfest, my advice is to get it now, okay? But because you wait till over Sunday morning, you see 56, possibly 7, maybe even 58, who knows? Depends on how much money you get pushed on you that over. But if you like the Bengals side of the ball, and now 7.5, I suggest you better take that now in case it goes back down to 7. That's just my advice. I still saw a couple 7s, but now it's been 7.5 almost everywhere. This could get to 6.5, but I don't know. And my pick was, I'm going to close this part of the segment out. We took the Cincinnati Bengals +7. We're going to go back and do the 7.5 for a second bet. We got the Chiefs money line, but it'll be up there before the game is kicked off. And because once the game kicks off, you can't make the pick online. Now I'm going to take a quick pause, take a quick break, and we're going to cover the San Francisco 49ers at the Los Angeles Rams in their third match. Okay. I think this is going to be the better game, to be honest with you. I think the 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams, they know each other well. 49ers have beat them 6 times in a row. Are they in Sean McVay's head? Are they in Aaron Donald's head? I looked the last couple of games, Aaron Donald didn't get a sack. They've learned how to defend Aaron Donald. They probably put 2 men on him. I'm just guessing. Without going and looking at the games and the full game again. But whenever they played, one of the games is on YouTube, and I should go back and watch it if I got time. So this game, the Rams -4, it opened up at -4, and the over-under was 47. Okay, but this game is actually bet down to 45.5 in some places. So people have been pounding the over as well, like they were pounding the over in the Kansas City game. So when they were pounding the over, they lower the line. Okay? Now, if they pound the under, they'll jack it up, right? That's how it works in the sports betting world. So then the line of the Rams -4 was bet down even quicker to the Rams -3.5. But the 49er side of the 49ers +120 has heavier juice. Big. Okay, that one -120 if you want the 49ers +3.5. Okay, this could go up Sunday morning. You can see -125, -130. You could. Because I really don't think they're going to come off at 3.5. Right now, from what I saw on covers.com and thespread.com and by pointsbet.com, a couple other sites, Insight Sports, the majority of money, 60% of the money's coming on the Rams, 40% is coming on the 49ers. There's not that much of a disparity. So the books are pretty much balanced per se. Now, I don't know about the size of the bets. I'm going to keep track of that. That's beyond what I do. If I hear it, I'll listen to it. If I see it, I'll put it here temporarily, but then it's going to go away. Like I said, recent history has the 49ers beating the Rams 6 times in a row. Now, they keep saying, well, the guy, one of my critics when I talk over the football with him, yeah, well, Matthew Stafford, he only lost to him twice. He may have lost to him as a Ram quarterback twice, but he faced him 3 times when he was with Detroit Lions, and he did beat him once. They beat the 49ers one time, but they sacked him and beat him twice. He's 1-3 against. Well, no, he's 1-5 against the 49ers in his career. So that doesn't bode well for Matthew Stafford. They may have his number. They might. If they can put the pressure on like they did Aaron Rodgers, I think the Rams are in trouble. But that's just my personal opinion, and we'll get to that in a second when I make my pick. You probably already know which way I'm going to go. This is the only game I got right last week. I picked just San Francisco. I had them on the pregame.com. I had the +6. I didn't have them on the money line. I had Green Bay on the money line. But come game time, I was watching the broadcasters. It was Howie Long, Terry Bradshaw, Jimmy Johnson, former coach of the Cowboys and Miami Dolphins. I think Kurt Menefee is the host, and he's a nice guy. And Michael Strahan so it's those 5 NFL hosts. They all make their picks. And Terry Bradshaw went first. He goes, and you know how I already told you I made my pick days ago, and I'm taking the San Francisco 49ers to upset. And Jimmy Johnson went next, and he said, I'm going to take. And then there was a little banter between Howie Long and Jimmy Johnson and Terry Bradshaw. They were saying, and Terry Bradshaw says, "You guys changing your picks?" Yeah, well, we're going to change our picks. We're going to go with the 49ers. Yeah, that's not fair. So you should be able to keep your. Terry was needling them. Because I think when they first put the picks in, the graphic is different than the display. Well, I found this on Google, and it led me to the link online. And then it's a Twitter clip. And if I can put the space in here, I'll put it up there. When they're all giving their picks, I guess the graphics design, they kept putting the Green Bay all across the screen except for Terry Bradshaw. Because when they put their picks into the editor, it all picked Green Bay except Terry Bradshaw. So that's very telling. And you know what? And I'm sitting there, I watched the game at my house. And I told my wife and my friends, I said, you know what? I said, you all know about my pregame.com. Yeah. What about it? You keep talking about it. Yeah. I said, well, you know what? I think the 49ers is gonna do it. And when I went to get my little cell phone and get, but by the time the game had kicked off, I couldn't make the second bet. And I was gonna take the 49ers on the money line. I felt that good about them. So offset my Green Bay money line, and they won that game.
Point closer, and points are actually double for tonight's game. Jimmy, why don't you pick first?
Yeah, when I was coaching, I always made adjustments at halftime, and so I was going to go Green Bay, but now I'm going San Francisco 49ers by 10.
There you go, Jimmy. What do you got? You're in last place. You're in last place.
What are you doing?
And I'm going to go next. I am going to go with the Green Bay Packers by 10.
You can't change your pick.
We don't have time for all that.
I've got Robbie Gould kicking a field goal at the end of the game. I've got Niners by 3.
You can't change your. You guys are dogs. Both of you. I was the only one picking the 49ers. I'm picking the 49ers by 3, and I ain't happy. And this is all under.
All right, I'm going to take Green Bay to win it by 10. Folks at home, you've got a chance to win more of Terry Bradshaw's money.
The offense was kind of shaky, but their defense and their special teams were extremely impressive. So let's go ahead and talk about that. But on my notes here, I need to talk about something else first. Guys keep saying, well, it's happened before where the rubber match or the third match, they get their revenge. And I said, okay, can you name the games? And they weren't sure. They're a little younger than me. So I did a little bit of research, and I vaguely remembered. But I remember one year, the Seattle Seahawks, they used to be in the AFC West before they had the realignment. They put a couple teams in the NFC, and they switched them back and forth. I think Seattle, Tampa, Houston, or someone else got switched around. And they went from 28 teams to 30 teams to 32 teams when they had Jacksonville and the Carolina Panthers. So what happened was the Oakland Raiders were the beasts of the AFC West. They were favored to win it all and do all this stuff. Well, Seattle comes up and they were developing a good team. Steve Largent is a wide receiver. He's a fantastic wide receiver. And he has some good defensive players too. And Kurt Warner running the ball. And a lot of this is just popping in my head right now as I'm filming. It's not on my notes. But what is on my notes is that Seattle upset them twice. But Seattle made the wild card and they beat somebody to face off at the Oakland Raiders. But guess what? The final score at the beginning of the fourth quarter, it was the Raiders 30, Seattle nothing. They got 2 garbage touchdowns when Tom Flores was the coach of the Raiders. He sent some players down. Tom Flores is an underrated coach, by the way, for the Oakland Raiders. Never got his due. And it happened another time. The guy said, hey, I think Steelers did it too, but he wasn't sure. He can't remember who they played. He said he was a small boy, so I looked it up. There was one year where the Houston Oilers, they were still Houston, and they weren't Tennessee Titans, and they whooped up on the Steelers twice. And now they're back in Houston, and Houston was always facing Pittsburgh all the time, but that's with Pittsburgh. They couldn't get past the Pittsburgh Steelers, couldn't get past the Oakland Raiders. But to meet the Oakland Raiders for next game, pardon me if I said the conference championship, they met in the division round. Seattle met the Raiders in the division round, and then the winner of that game got to play the Steelers in the championship game, from what I remember. The Steelers lost twice to the Houston Oilers in 1989. But in the wild card round, Houston was the home team that lost. Pittsburgh got their revenge. So, I mean, it can happen. So I just named you two examples where it's happened in the NFL. But I can name you also examples where a team gets swept, they lose a third game too. When the Giants beat up on the Redskins in the early 90s, they beat them twice in the regular season. They skunked 17-0 in an ice snow game. Pretty much what you saw like last week. That not quite much snow. Jay Schrader threw this big bomb on 3rd and 10 and got 60-yard in the air, and the wind stopped for a second. And that guy caught that ball, but he dropped it. And you can see the Redskins give up after that. I had the Giants, thank God, but the Giants were just beasts. That's when they had Lawrence Taylor. Anyway, yes, the Rams could get their revenge here. They could win this game. Don't count the Rams out. The Rams could they're going to try to win this game, and they could. But the X factor, I think, in this game is going to be Jimmy Garoppolo, the quarterback of the 49ers. If he makes plays like he did in the second half when they played the Rams a few weeks ago in their de facto do-or-die game, or championship game, then I think 49ers is going to win this game. Matter of fact, I don't really think it's going to be close. They played once earlier and it was 31-10. It's not a blowout, but it's a decisive victory. It's not a split decision. It's not a hair-shaving, field goal game or a split decision like the boxers. The two good fighters, they fight a great fight. It's hard to pick the winner. They thought it was split decision, Larry Holmes or Ken Norton. The split decision, so-and-so, Roberto Duran or whoever. Marvin Hagler or Roberto Duran. Split decision. It's very, very close. I'm looking for the 49ers to get they got a big lead on the Cowboys the first week, the wild card round. They had to come from behind, but they kept it close. They kept Green Bay moved the ball right there and got a touch. Looked good doing it. 49ers didn't look bad. They were just outmatched, outclassed. Green Bay was controlling the interior line play. They were pushing around the 49ers front seven, and they got a touchdown. Got the ball back. 49, 1, 2, 3, you're out. Kittle drops a big pass, wide open, punt, right? They move back, but then the Green Bay has a turnover, and that stopped them from at least in field goal range. And I could go back and forth, and it was getting ready to be. It stayed 7-0 the entire first half, and Green Bay didn't score anymore. And they had some 1, 2, 3 and outs. They had punts. Both teams were punting the ball. It wasn't a big turnover game. It was a big special teams game, and that's important to note here. Okay, if you watch that on YouTube, they have the replay of the full game of the 49ers at the Green Bay Packers. Within the first minute of the broadcast, you can hear Joe Buck sitting next to Troy Aikman saying, and I think the special teams might play a factor in this game. I can't put this on my channel, I'll get a strike for copycatting or whatever. If you type in Google, type in YouTube, type in San Francisco 49ers at Green Bay full game, it'll come up. You scroll down the list and you'll see it. Just watch the first 5 minutes. You'll hear Joe Buck say, Shanahan knows he's got an edge in special teams over Matt LaFleur's team. And they talk about the rivalry between Matt LaFleur and Shanahan, the coach of the 49ers. Watch that part, and I knew, I was sitting in my room, we're all watching the game at my house, and I knew the 49ers was going to win that game. I just knew they were, and I'm trying to get the next bet, and I couldn't get on. Anyway, I was impressed with the 49ers defense. They had the players. They have Bosa, they have Warner, they have what it takes. Their defense, they keep saying defense is a little suspect. Every defense in the NFL today, in today's game, they can be beat sometime. There's no shutdown corner like Mel Blount of the Pittsburgh Steelers that won 4 Super Bowls. The guys like that, they're non-existent in the NFL right now. They just don't exist. They'll get one next. They'll get some in a couple of years. Don't worry, they will. Teams rotate with what they're going to do. And the draft will be every draft is very, very important. All these quarterbacks retiring. Now you're going to start seeing more emphasis on the quarterbacks. Okay, 5 quick questions for this game. Okay, number 1, can the 49ers repeat that shutdown performance against the Rams tomorrow, like they did against Green Bay? Can they repeat that? Question number two, can the Rams close the door on the 49ers just like they did the Cardinals and Buccaneers? Can they? Question number 3, will the Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford finally get to play in his very first Super Bowl? That's a good storyline. It's been out. Question number 4, will the 49ers Deebo Samuel burn the Rams defense like he did twice this year? He led the NFL in yards after the catch. And that reminds me of Jerry Rice, a retired Hall of Famer, 49er. I can't say enough good things about Jerry Rice. If you want to learn about Jerry Rice, there was a very good 30 for 30 that ESPN used to have this great series out. You need to watch the Jerry Rice one. I'm telling you, if you've never seen that or never heard of it, you need to watch that, and you will be so impressed with Jerry Rice. You'll think, damn, why not see this? You know, the guy's right. I mean, when you watch that 30 for 30, and you see how the odds he had to overcome to just stay in the NFL, just to get there, was insurmountable. But he had an iron will. He didn't give up. Iron will and steel heart. Okay, that's what Tom Brady had. Question number 5: Can the defensive line combo of Aaron Donald and the free agent addition Von Miller wake up and sack Garoppolo? Can they do it? If they do, then the Rams could very well win this game. Garoppolo is prone to making mistakes. He's the X factor, like I said. But we shall see. That's why they play the game. But so now I guess you know what my pick is. We're taking the 49ers plus 3.5, and to sweep the Rams this year and advance the Super Bowl. Critics of the 49ers do keep pointing out to the weaknesses and turnover machine of Garoppolo. But if he has turned to the game manager, which I think Shanahan's going to do this time, I think that gives him a much greater chance to win this game. Just rewatch that Packers game for me. Can you do me a favor? Just to watch the first 5 minutes, and once you hear Joe Buck say that, then you can say, you know what, this guy knows what he's talking about. And sure enough, I mean, I never thought much of Joe Buck until last week. I mean, because Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, they both made some political statements about the Harris-Biden thing a year ago, there was, and that kind of turned me off. But it's not about politics. I have a politics channel you can watch if you really want to get your ire up. So, and the over/under, we're not going to make a play on the over/under because we just can't decide. I mean, the line's getting pushed down. That means people betting the over. If it's good weather, it's not the snowstorm that they had in Green Bay, the cold weather, the rock solid hard ground. It's going to be a little different here in Los Angeles. There should be more scoring, but I don't know how much. I mean, Deebo Samuel, he was on the injury report for a while. He took a helmet to the knee his last play of the game. Some strange play. I don't remember seeing it. That would have been a devastating blow. I might have gone the other way if they lose that one player to Deebo Samuel. I mean, have you watched this guy yet? I mean, he's just amazing, and he's got the ghost of Jerry Rice. I said in the other video, and when I saw Jimmy Garoppolo, they had the Rams retook that lead, and they needed to score. They had 61 seconds left in the game. Zing! The one timeout left. The first play, it's got to work, and they almost sacked him. First play, Samuel 31 yards to the right sideline. And they hurry up and they spiked the ball. I mean, now he's got 40 seconds, or whoever it was. They scored a touchdown. They scored a touchdown. Scored a touchdown to send the game in overtime. So I'm here to tell you, I saw the ghosts of Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and that John Taylor, the secondary receiver, number 2 receiver. They would triple team Jerry Rice. Taylor would get open. They'd triple team him, and Jerry Rice would get back open. Don't you remember the 49ers of the 80s and early 90s? Joe Montana, Steve Young. I remember them. I made a lot of money off those guys. So enjoy the games tomorrow. I hope you enjoy this video. Hope you take my recommendation. At least watch the clips I tell you about. You may think, well, why is that important? Well, anytime you can get someone that can give you some insight that you don't normally have, like Joe Buck, I mean, he impressed me. Now I'm going to start paying attention to him. He might give me another tidbit for the Super Bowl. Who knows? So now he's on my radar. I mean, people like that sniff these things out. Why do you think the NFL sticks with coaches that almost always have played the game? Mike Shanahan, the old man, not the son here, he never played a down football or organized football in his life. He didn't even play high school. He didn't even try to get on the high school team. But he hung around. He coached kids. He coached high school. He coached here. He built up his resume. He learned what he needed to learn. He won 2 Super Bowls with John Elway and the Denver Broncos. I mean, he's a good NFL coach. He's retired now, but he never played a down football. But he has football knowledge. You don't have to be a good commander-in-chief to be able to be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. You just got to be the commander-in-chief. And if you're any good, they'll listen to you. If you're not any good, they'll just, forget it. That's a bad analogy, but I'm trying to use politics. I couldn't think of anything quick enough, and the camera's rolling. So, hope you enjoy this video. I'll doctor it up. I'm trying to make it the best I can. I'm still trying to improve things. I'll have a couple videos in between the championship games and the Super Bowl. I got at least 2 that I want to talk about. 2 that I want to give some insights to some people who are going to be handicappers in the future, and how to think of certain players, and how to handle the sports media, which I think is atrocious right now. That's a different video for a different day. Thank you, my dog. Thanks you, gentlemen. She didn't want to get up on this chair. Thank you. Enjoy the game tomorrow. I'm expecting one blowout. I think the 49ers are going to blow out the Rams. That's the blowout I'm looking for. So save this video. Thank you, players. Good luck. Good night.
Short kick. And we should see a lot of those today on the dead run. Amari Rodgers is out to the 32. And I don't think we've ever talked about special teams this early, but it is a matchup of two units, special teams for each team that's really struggled here tonight. And with all the talk about Rodgers and Garoppolo and Debo and Devontae, this game could come down to special teams play.
There's no doubt that could very well be a deciding factor in these conditions. You want to make them have to handle the ball. San Francisco certainly did. Amari Rodgers does a nice job. I thought it was interesting in talking with Kyle Shanahan. Their special teams has been poor all year as well. But this is the one of the few times all year he feels that they do have an advantage in that area.